Hello, it's Ray, and I wanted to take a moment, or half an hour, to talk about a show that I loved when I was a kid. I don't know if any of you heard of it. It's really niche. It was a very sophisticated show for kids. It made me feel included and smart. It was very put together and well thought out musical. It struck philosophical thought into kids. It pushed boundaries, went farther than any show I've ever seen. How does one get the sillies out? Why don't we allow coconuts in lines? In my favorite, the party in one's time. Such a song invoked a whirlwind of questions, not only in children, but many others in mass media. Why do the vegetables want to die so badly? Why are they so quick to believe that the stomach of a striped green, orange-horned Neanderthal was a much better life to live than the one they were currently living? I've spent years thinking about this dilemma, to come to my final conclusion. The vegetables feel devoid of the pleasures of life, having sentience, yet unable to move and choose what they do. So they sit there doing what? Who knows? Comforting each other until the sweet release of death comes to take them. Heck, who even knows? Maybe they're immortal. Maybe when they go bad, they don't die. Then suddenly, a once-in-a-lifetime chance comes around, to be picked by the heavens, or in this case, the great god Broby, to finally be chosen to die. They sit there, watch their friends take their last breath, and finally free from this prison of life. And once they think it's their turn for a new chapter, a new life, a new chance to possibly be born in a place of control, power, they start to see that humongous green, once-in-a-lifetime chance walk away. Desperate, they beg, cry, and plead that he ends their suffering. Let them be rid of this world and move on. Finally, after a tear-jerking speech, the green goo goo god slurps them up and makes their only wish come true. Okay, I'm stopping the bit here. Yo Gabba Gabba came out August 20th, 2007. The show's plot goes as follows. Join our host, DJ Lance, as he introduced us to friendly toy monsters in a magical land full of music, dance, colorful cartoons, and simple life lessons. We'll let you and your children up off the floor to learn and dance along. Now, in all seriousness, this show holds a special place in my heart, and I loved it to death when I was a kid. So because of this love for this show, it comes up in a conversation with my friend. I don't really know what we were trying to find, but we stumbled upon the Yo Gabba Gabba creation myth. I will be quoting and summarizing things from an article on a website called Something Awful, written by Zach Parsons. DJ Lance brings in his boombox, which is called the Holy Vessel, that contains his progeny. These progeny, or better known as lesser deities, are assigned the four important elements in Yo Gabba Gabba lore: stone, woods, flowering hills, and ice. The first deity is Muno. He's red and has one eye. He watches over the rocks. Fufa is the pink flower alien, and she is, quote, clearly the Gabba fertility goddess. That's a whole can of worms for a kid show. Tootie, no, not the singer of Gorillaz. Tootie, the cat walrus. Reptilian? What? She's a cat dragon. Okay. She watches over the Iceland. Next is Broby, a green monster, who is the monster of the forest, but a hero to those vegetables. The fifth progeny is Plex, a yellow robot that can move between all the realms freely, speaks the word of DJ Lance, and can sometimes summon him. Quote, he is much more aware of the contextual reality of Gabba, and this, coupled with his powers, makes him the messiah figure of Gabba lore. The monsters exhibit extremely naive behavior, often needing basic concepts explained to them by Plex or DJ Lance himself. They seem to have little understanding of objects ranging from birthdays to pets to sleeping. This makes the entire Gabba reality a sort of extended creation myth, where the godhead interacts with his progeny, shaping their development in a direct way. Eating, in the Yo Gabba Gabba lore, is a joyous occasion. The act of being eaten is not a sacrifice at all, it is a pleasure. Internal cutaways of Broby and later other deities reveal primordial digestive tracts and internal organs. The consumed food dances and laughs in the stomach. Ritualized dancing, or Dante Dance, plays an important role in practicing the religion of Gabaland. Oh, this is gold. Minor celebrities from our world are transported into Gabaland by Plex, and remain just long enough to teach the deities a dance before being returned to our world or possibly disintegrated and destroyed. There is a mini anti-god that rules the Gabba underworld, Gooble, the crying god. Only when researching a bit did I realize that Gooble is a dead 10-year-old child. Do what you will with that, who is seen weeping and crying for most of the series. He's generally disliked by the other deities, but that mindset is not supported by DJ Lance, perhaps suggesting Gabba was an early experiment in creation that went awry. Gabba lives in his own realm, but seemingly can leave it whenever he wants. Humans interact frequently with the gods, sometimes visiting for the Dancey Dance or other reasons. Outside of the context of the Dancey Dance, humans encountering Gabba gods for the first time interact with extreme fear. The fear of mortals in Gabba Land is justified, for although the gods of Gabba Land would seem benign, they alone are returned to the boombox, suggesting that only the gods are worthy to be reborn each day. We mortals can only dance in hope that death or Plutz's unforgiving beam does not ultimately send us to the Morris underworld of Google. There's no way I can find the words to articulate this that would top anything this man has already written, building on the myth. So I'm going to build upon the lore for funsies, of course. I'm totally not going to watch all 66 episodes to accurately make a religion. I tried, I couldn't do it. Think of it as me creating a Yo Gabba Gabba AU. So let's start with the overall observations that helped build this myth. At the end of each episode, it is required to say goodbye to our deities through a song and dance, reminding ourselves of the wisdom they learned and passed down to us mere mortals, before they lose sentience for the time being. Music and movement is an important aspect of Gabba Land. It is the source of the Gabba gods' magical properties. There are times where the Gabba gods are in a void, breaking the fourth wall to interact with children or to teach them something. I assume this is their way of speaking the word of DJ Lance and teaching the ways of Gabba outside of the confines of Gabba Land. There is a man in the show who possesses the same ability DJ Lance does, the ability to give life. His powers aren't able to create deities like DJ Lance, but he can create living things with a magical black crayon. No one knows the true nature of this man. Where do these creations go? Do they inhabit Gabba Land? Exploration is encouraged by the Gabba gods, shown by the constant return of the Try It, You'll Like It song, and other songs that encourage the Gabba gods to try new things and not be afraid of things. There is another layer to the party in my tummy ritual. When the food has hit the ground, they are infected with the tiny ugly germs, and are considered inedible. Luckily for these foods, death is still possible. Plex takes them to a better place by stuffing them in his stomach box. In one episode, Sleep, it appears there is a toy watching over a boy who's trying to go to sleep. It is possible these toys are a way of watching mortals in their day-to-day life, or there are an age-old equivalent in Gabba Land. There are multiple segments of children riding different large toys. I theorize that this is one out of two ways a human can be transported to Gabba Land. One way is through Plex, and the other is to ride these large toys. The children brought in by these holy vehicles wear the faces of the deities, meaning they are big worshippers of Gabba. I theorize that they are chosen to go to Gabba Land based on their amazing performance as worshippers, and are rewarded by being a part of the Gabba gods' day. They all seem to like to dance as well, most likely another reason for them being chosen. Whether they go back home or not is dependent on the child. Some are able to return home, and others are never seen again. We, me and one of my friends, think that they get turned into parts of the Gabba Land environment. The most devoted, most likely, are picked.
Bringing the deities into our physical realm.
So this third eye-opening breakdown of Yo Gabba Gabba inspired me to draw our mystic deities. While I'm drawing them, I will go over their individual characteristics. Muna is a red cyclops. He also has 3 stomachs, which is irrelevant, but now that I know, you have to as well. He oversees the rock elephant. He oversees the rock elephants. He oversees the rock element of Gabba Land. His important teachings outside of Gabba Land consist of teaching kids how to pretend. Thanks to the development of Muno's character design, every character except for DJ Lance, because he encompasses everything, will be based on a certain music genre. That is because I typed rock god for elemental gods of rock, and got rock fashion instead. You know, searching fumble on my part. Muno's genre of music is, surprise surprise, rock music. First I added various types of rock fashion into his Pinterest board, then I forgot to add anything else to his character. So when I went back and realized that, I had to think of something else to draw inspiration from. Well, here's the rock god, let's do that. No, dummy, that's what led you to the rock fashion in the first place. Try again. Elemental rock gods. Okay, better, but they seem nothing like Muno. Let's lean hard into the rock and roll fashion for our literal little god. I wasn't getting anything that screamed, put Muno in this outfit, until I finally gave into temptation. The entire time I was looking for photos, in my head, I kept repeating Purple Rain, probably because of the combination of Muno's purple rocks and the rock and roll theme. So I bit the bullet and added a whole bunch of photos of the artist formerly known as Prince, and was able to come up with a few concept designs in my sketchbook. I feel like you can see what sketches are heavily Prince inspired. The page on the left is when I was going vaguely rock fashion, while the right was after I saved all those photos of Prince for this project, being obviously inspired by the clothing he wore for his Purple Rain album. I decided I would keep some parts of the original design to make them somewhat recognizable. How much? I turned these into these. Not much. But Muno still has only one eye. There he is, my little guy, all grown up. Didn't grow up to be a king though. Only a prince. Fufa is apparently very, quote-unquote, clearly the fertility goddess. She teaches Gabba followers how to match different objects. She oversees the flowery hills element of Gabba land. Fufa was my favorite when I was a kid, so designing her was very important to me. And I wanted to encapsulate the goddess feelings for her. Problem with her being my favorite? I set high expectations, meaning I didn't like anything I was drawing for her. Nothing was good enough for her, and it's not her fault. Fufa wasn't picky. I just wanted her to raise her standards. Let me walk you through the initial designs. The article mentioned that Fufa is, quote-unquote, clearly a fertility goddess. And when I looked that up, it's obviously a very broad term that stretches across multiple cultures. However, there are a few common traits. A plump woman, probably one of the reasons why she's, quote-unquote, clearly a fertility goddess. I will never not quote that. I need you to make sure that every time I say that, everyone is aware that that was not my thought, that was not my doing, that was not me who said that first. Multiple layers of clothing draping over her head, and a scythe, because fertility goddesses are associated with plants and growth. So I tried my best to draw some head accessories that draped over her head, resembled her original design, and didn't look out of character for her. Well, I guess all of this is out of character. Okay, but you know what I mean, like, something that doesn't push the character even further than it already has been. So I settled for a see-through veil that's in the shape of a flower. I wanted her to have a train of some sort, so I gave her a cape attached to the collar that resembles her original design. Here's where things get a little bit hairy. The two things I mentioned are a part of the final design, but I paired it with this hideous dress. I think it's the fluffles. Not a word. Okay, at the end of the dress, that really bothered me. Something about the weird and unclear silhouette bothered me as well. On to the next one. This one doesn't get much better. Same feelings about the silhouette here. But I tried switching up the collar, which was worse. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. The ugly dress is still ugly with one element removed. So, in my final attempt, I told myself to think about it simply. Basically, I tried replicating the same silhouette Fufa originally had and changed the cut of the top part of the dress. I also sized up the fluffles, we're still going with that, to make the look more cohesive with the collar. The cape is still there, but it doesn't engulf the silhouette of her dress, which was the problem with the last designs. I finished the design with see-through sleeves because I felt like having sleeves would be confining to her, but not having sleeves would be weird. There you have it, our quote-unquote fertility goddess of Gabba land. Oh, side note, her genre of music is pop, and I based Fufa on Melanie Martinez. At least, collected a bunch of inspiration from her. Tootie is a cat dragon. Apparently. She teaches the Gabba followers about different sounds. She oversees the ice element of Gabba land. She was the easiest to design. When I realized I wanted to base their clothing style on music genres, I was discussing it with a friend of mine, and we immediately knew what genre she would be. Punk music. Her style, her clothes, everything came so easily to me. So easily that once I was done with the design mostly, done with the script, ready to move on to recording these speed paints, I realized that I felt completely robbed of an Ice Knight Tootie. My stupid butt was like, oh man, too bad I can't draw her as a punk knight. I'm not confident enough to do it. I'm still not. But I want my punk knight Tootie. So I decided to give her impractical armor along with her punkness. While I was rewatching some episodes of Yo Gabba Gabba, a repressed memory came up. I'm pretty sure as a kid I shipped Muno and Fufa, which caused my mind to wander. And wonder what the character's sexualities would be. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ray, we were talking about a literal kid show. Why doesn't that matter? Okay, 1, I already shipped the characters as a child. And 2, I'm strictly talking about my headcanons of these characters that I'm making. Like the Yo Gabba Gabba gods AU. When I speak about this, I'm talking about my gods. Okay? Okay. Muno is a gay icon, but not gay like the person he's based on. Fufa is pan. Tootie is the reason why my brain went further with these headcanons, because as soon as I thought about their possible sexualities, my brain immediately went, Tootie's a lesbian. Ain't no way. Ain't no way she is attracted to men. Everyone else, as in the last 2 characters, will be disclosed as we talk about them. Me and my friend's headcanon is that her and Fufa are girlfriends. Our punk Ice Knight, everyone. Broby is a green monster. He teaches the Gabba followers about colors. He oversees the wood element of Gabba land. Broby was hard for me, not for the same reasons as Fufa though. He was hard because his bloody behind was giving me nothing. Nothing, sis. My friend said kids Brob, but surprise, surprise, it's too broad of a quote-unquote music genre. So I don't really know what train of thought led to this next conclusion, but I'm assuming it's probably because I don't like Broby and this music genre. Country music. I'm sorry, some songs are a bop, but I just don't like it. Don't know why, don't interrogate me about it later, I will not have an answer for you. Then I'm like, yes, I'm gonna turn Broby into the country girl he was always meant to be, except he's not meant to be that, because he ended up looking stupid. So then I decided to go in a different direction. Country macho man. The first design was fine, but I hated the way I drew him, and I didn't like the beard, so I redrew him. When I redrew him, choices were made, and had to be made. I like the way I drew him, and I like the design. The thing is that without the boa, he's giving straight man vibes, which is like, oh, that's my headcanon for Broby, he's straight. However, adding the boa, he's giving internalized homophobia. He's giving internalized homophobia. He's giving, I hate the gays, but that men over there are looking mighty fine. Like, okay, country. There are times it's associated with Republicans, and Republicans are associated with racism and homophobia. But then I gave him a boa over all that superficially assumed racism and homophobia. Anyways, he's straight. I just couldn't get rid of the boa because it perfectly replicated the same silhouette of his original design. There you go, the snot mobster. Sorry if he was your favorite. Also, for the record, he is not canonically racist or homophobic. Plex. Plex is a magical robot. They teach the essential life skills to the Gabba followers. They don't oversee an element of Gabba land. They oversee something more important. In the episode Scary, we see them open a door to a closet that reveals controls to the main functions of Gabba land, like light. They are given the task of controlling the basic functions of Gabba land. This means that they could possibly change the weather and time of day too. They're also the main preacher of DJ Lance's words. They're constantly making sure the deities are behaving well and staying active. When it is dancing dance time, Plex gets a tingle in their antenna, meaning that they are the only one who truly knows when it is dancey dance time. You may have noticed I've been referring to Plex by they them pronouns, because Plex gives me non-binary vibes. They also give me Arrow Ace vibes. With that in mind, I decided to design them with a gender androgynous style. I gave them some cyborg shades. I gave them a pretty blocky top because I wanted them to have the same silhouette as their original design. Oh my god, how many times will I say silhouette? Oh, and there's a pair of shoes I could not put them in. Look at these shoes. Look, they're so cool. Also, originally, Plex was going to be raceless. They were going to be covered head to toe in clothes, but I didn't like that. Also, I couldn't figure out how to do it where it didn't look stupid. So I decided to make them black because I feel like they would copy their creator. You know, they would want to look like DJ Lance, God himself. Maybe they wanted to be worshipped too. Guess you can say they have a God complex. Plex, the main speaker of DJ Lance's holy word. DJ Lance. As we know, DJ Lance is the all-powerful god of Gabbaland. DJ Lance's teachings are the most important, as they teach the sacred dancey dances that are Plex-free and safe for the average Gabba follower to do in order to give power to the Gabba deities. The original article states that DJ Lance is dressed in a bright orange costume that would fit right in with the costumes of Matthew Barney's Cremaster. So, whatever that is, I'll base his design on that. Or, I was, until I saw the photos I could use as a reference and realized I did not like any of those references. They weren't what I was looking for. They're way too out of place for our man. I decided to scrap the design direction and find some new source material. I decided to go in the direction I would have originally gone in if someone told me to make DJ Lance a god. I basically wanted to give him robes, so I saved a bunch of photos of religion? I saved religion to my... I typed the word religion into a Word document, screenshotted that, and then put it into my Pinterest board. Where was I? Right, okay. I saved a bunch of photos of religious-looking dresses. When I say religious, I mean I have no idea if they have actual religious ties. I just think it looks pretty godly. But then, most of the photos I saved were dresses, which made him look less godly and more like a god who was doing drag. Not the vibe I want. He's not supposed to be too extravagant. So again, not liking anything. I knew what I wanted. Oh my god, I'm going to say the word again. Silhouette-wise, Jesus Christ. I wanted big, puffy sleeves and a tray. So, those were the aspects I kept throughout all the designs. First iterations made him look less of a god and more like a poet or something. The second iteration isn't talked about. We let it die. My last iteration is the final design. I was tired of drifting too far from the source material. So I decided to keep the key elements I liked the most, then give him his iconic design on his chest. I gave him some dope pants that I saw in a specific Pinterest photo, then paired it with some boots. A little story: I was drawing this in class when a sub walked over and watched for a little while. She told me it was good and then continued. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I boosted my confidence. I looked down, then to the left, and realized that on the page it said, Almighty God, DJ Lance. I'm sitting there like, I hope she does not know who DJ Lance is. She didn't have any follow-up questions and didn't send me to the guidance counselor to get mental help, so I'm assuming she doesn't know who DJ Lance is. And there he is. Almighty God. Gabba! That's right, a bonus character I wasn't planning from the beginning. I wasn't going to include Gabba in the beginning of the video because I thought his design would be boring or not worth the energy of adding to the video. Don't get me wrong, I love Gabba. However, I wanted to focus on the main cast until I drew him and realized how adorable he is. At that point, I had accepted him as my son, my child, but I was still on the fence about adding him to the video. Then, I felt like I could push the design further. So I decided to pull references from the Egyptian god of death, Anubis, and he is my son, my baby boy. I'm canonically in the Gabba universe I created, and DJ Lance has allowed me to adopt my child, and there's no one who gets a say about anything. There he is, Gabba, my child. So I hope you guys like these designs and the additions I made to the creation myth. For the possible reason that this may accidentally appeal to children, hey kids, this is a joke. Yo Gabba Gabba characters aren't gods. My favorite to draw was Tootie. Her design came very easily to me. I knew exactly what I wanted for her. My favorite design would have to be Plex, solely because of the shoes. But I didn't create those, so kudos to Elizabeth Jane. Solely. Anyways, I've had more fun with these designs than I've had in a while. When was my last design video? Like 6 months ago, Jesus. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button because every like is a hug specifically from you to Gabba. You can also subscribe to see content like this and be officially added to the Gabba support group. Or if you like bad movies. Or if you're up at 3 a.m. and somehow found this video and decided in your delirious state that I'm worth watching. Tolerance is fundamental to Gabba Land. Rival beliefs are treated as acceptable alternatives to the world described by DJ Lance and his gods.